Unless you've been hiding under a rock, you've probably seen the news.
Fire crews in California are still battling fresh wildfires. The Hughes fire has burned through more than 40 square kilometers of trees and bush north of Los Angeles.
California is suffering from some very horrendous wildfires. In fact, as of recording this on January 25th of 2025, there have been 274 different wildfires this year. They've destroyed over 16,000 structures, 55,000 acres of land. Millions have been evacuated, and sadly, 28 people have lost their lives this year. California has been, exposed to fires for, forever. But it seems that these fires are becoming more frequent and more intense year by year. Climate change and extreme drought are, some of the leading factors for these more intense fires. But there is a issue that's helping these fires that a lot of people don't know about, and that's invasive species. These ecosystems have been shaped by fire, but historically they were rare and easily contained because the native plants would retain moisture and created natural fire breaks. And there were gaps in between all the vegetation, kind of slowing down these fires. But ever since the first European settlement in 1769, which was the Presidio of San Diego, non-native plants have been introduced, either through ornamental plants, landscaping, or by accident. Most of the non-native grasses that are in Southern California have been introduced through, animal feed. In fact, almost all of the common grasses in Southern California are non-native from Europe and the Mediterranean. Species like cheatgrass, wild oats, red brome, Mediterranean grass, ryegrasses, and so many others. The issue with non-native species or non-native grasses is usually the native grasses are perennial and they are green and retaining water during the dry summer months. Whereas the non-native invasive grasses, they're mainly annual grass, which means that they germinate in the winter, they complete their life cycle by the dry summer months, and by that time they're dead. They've completed their life cycle, they've seeded out, and they're ready to regerminate the following winter. But the thing is with grass is they're rich in silica, which means their blades are very rigid and silica is very slow to decompose. So you're just getting all these annual grasses filling in the gaps of this vegetation with a whole bunch of dead organic matter, which is, fast acting fuel for these fires. Some other invasive plants like Saharan mustard and other mustard species, phyllories, fennel, and thistles are also adding to the fuel. Plus, their seeds aren't destroyed by the fires and germinate quickly afterwards. Even in our riparian areas, invasive species are aiding the fires to be more intense. Invasive trees and shrubs like salt cedar or tamaracks, Russian olive, and giant reed are able to recover quickly after a fire, even the highest intensity of fires. Our native riparian species like sycamore trees, cottonwoods, and willows don't recover so well. Giant reed is the most common invasive plant in these riparian areas. It was introduced in the early 1800s as roofing material and musical instrument production. And then later it was planted for erosion control. Now it forms these dense masses and can grow up to 30 feet tall. Being this tall, when it burns, it can spread the fire to the neighboring tree canopies. And after it burns, like many other invasive species, it resprouts quickly and more quickly than our native species, thus outcompeting our native plants. Another issue with these more frequent and intense fires is that they cause our native plants to be so severely damaged that they can't recover, which then converts our highly diverse native ecosystem into low diversity non-native community, which is in the wildfire's favor. Did you also know that our emissions from our cars can help invasive species? It's true. In our emissions, or in our exhaust from our cars, is nitrogen dioxide. And in areas where there are a lot of cars, like on the West Coast, this nitrogen dioxide falls back down into our ecosystem, acting as a type of fertilizer. And these invasive annual grasses love this fertilizer, and it helps it grow and complete its life cycle, and which then really aids in their spread and all this dead organic matter to build up and fuel these fires. Non-native and invasive plants are not only causing more intense fires in our ecosystems, but our cities as well. Since the beginning of civilization in California, people have been landscaping with non-native plants. Plants like pampas grass, which becomes a 6 to 8 foot tall torch in someone's yard, or fennel grass, or other non-native ornamental grasses. Even eucalyptus trees from Australia have been used in the landscapes a lot in California. Eucalyptus trees have oily aromatic leaves, which is their landscape appeal. And they have a very papery bark, which when they catch fire, this papery bark becomes very light embers that can be transported up to a half a mile away. And it's this close proximity to people's houses that makes these non-native trees a danger. One way to help with these fires is in the Invasive Brew's motto, plant native. Native plants in areas that are affected by non-native plant-fueled fires, especially in California and even Hawaii, can help slow down these fires because the native plants, they retain the moisture in these dry seasons, which really helps slow down these fires. So that's how invasive species are really fueling these fires in California right now. And they affected Hawaii last year. If you remember, in 2024, Hawaii was hit with some very intense wildfires too. And it's the same reason. Those invasive grasses are down there. I do want to say my thoughts and prayers are going out to everybody affected by these fires. There are places that you can donate, clothing, food, water, money, anything helps. These people have lost everything. Their homes, their businesses, their memories, everything. They've even lost their loved ones. So let's come together and kind of help each other out. No matter what's going on in the world right now, we have to come together and help each other out. We have to show that there are good people in this world still. So with that, I'll put some of those links in the description for people to help out. Please, let's do our part. And until next time, plant native and drink local.